episode of This Calls to Coach Miller. I am Coach Miller. This episode is brought to you by Home by SMCI. It's hot, not at the moment because I'm sitting outside, but it has been. It's been like 100 degrees or something, and I know because I was out in it. When I came inside, I wanted to sit in nice, cool air conditioning. And if your air conditioning is not performing the way it should, you need to call Home by SMCI today. They'll come out, they'll take care of it, they'll fix it up, they'll get it running the way it should, because that's what they do. They come to your home, they treat your home like it's their home, and that's why they're called Home by SMCI. So give them a call today, 636-337-4444. And if you haven't done that yet and your air conditioner is not running the way it should, you probably need to. Because again, it's hot. In Missouri, it's hot. Right now, we need some rain. Anyway, it's hot. Call Home by SMCI today, 636-337-4444. So on something that isn't hot is the stat of the complete game in baseball. It is absolutely ridiculously extinct. Okay, best way to put it. It's just almost extinct. Duck-billed platypus, almost extinct. Koala bear, almost extinct. And guys aren't throwing complete games like they used to. The guys used to go out and take the ball, and it was a badge of honor. Like, look, hey, I'm taking the ball for my team. I'm going to go 9 innings. I'm not turning it over to some clown out in the bullpen. This is my time. I'm a starting pitcher. Whatever it needs. Hey, the game goes 9 innings. I'm pitching 9. It goes 10. I'm pitching 10. It goes 16. I'm pitching 16. Like Sandy Koufax, Walter Johnson. That's just what I'm doing. And used to you not have to worry about pitch count and things like that. And you say, well, they blew out their arms and things like that. Guys pitched way more back in the day than what they do now. Let's be real here, okay? In 2023, there's only been 17 complete games thrown. 17. 17. At least 10 years ago, 17 would have maybe been the American League and the National League each. Now, both leagues combined in all Major League Baseball, 17 complete games. Now, there is somebody who has multiple complete games. That's Nathan Eovaldi with a whopping 2. That's it, just 2. 2 complete games. Are you kidding me? If when I go and buy tickets for a baseball game, I want to know who the probable starters are so I can see good pitching. If it's some trash pitcher that's some fifth starter or something, or some bullpen game kind of crap, I don't really want to see that. I always wanted to see those prime time pitching matchups. You don't get to see that anymore. You know why? Because those guys aren't pitching deep in the games. The Cardinals played the Cubs in London just the other day. Matthew Libator, was the starting pitcher. He pitched 2 1/3 innings. Why? Well, 2 reasons. He had 54 pitches into the third inning. Okay, not great. But the analytics people, the little calculator nerds sitting back there trying to figure out how to play baseball on their calculator, said that you can't see the same guy 3 times through the order. Why not? I mean, if you're saying that analytically speaking that these are the best matchups, then what's the point? Is he throwing? Is he throwing less? Is he not throwing as hard? And I get it when guys aren't throwing gas and they're not able to pump the ball and they're losing velocity. That's one thing. That means they actually are probably getting tired or there's something wrong with their arm. But the guys out there dealing, why you pull him? Why? Makes no sense. Just ask Kevin Cash. Do you think Blake Snell should have been pitching against the Dodgers? He was absolutely dealing in the World Series. And what do? They pull him. Guess what Mookie Betts does? Thank you. Boom. Dodgers win. Why? Because analytics can get you to a certain point. But when we're talking about pitching stats, the complete game is something that pitchers strive for. It's my ball, I'm taking it, I'm a starting pitcher. I don't want to give up the ball to somebody else. This is either my mess or my masterpiece, one of the two. So why not let those guys finish it? Oh, well, because we have pitch counts, because we have analytics. And those two things in itself have absolutely killed many stats in baseball, particularly with wins and quality starts, and especially the complete game. The complete game was something that guys like Roy Halladay in my time, Pedro Martinez, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson. That's what they were striving for because they were starting pitchers. They didn't want to turn the ball over to somebody out of the bullpen. But ever since baseball started tracking pitch count in 1988, all of a sudden we have all these different people making input on pitch counts and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Even Dr. James Andrews has been a big proponent of pitch count and making sure that pitchers aren't overusing their arms. I get it. That's what he does. He's a world-renowned orthopedic surgeon. But Dr. Andrews comes up with this magical 100 pitch count. Now they've done studies on pitch counts, and there isn't a lot of variation between the the 85th pitch and the 100th pitch and the 100th pitch and the 120th pitch. But after 125, all of a sudden there might be a drop off or decline in some of the performance. But at the same time, there are some guys who can just rear back and throw. Edwin Jackson pitched a 153 pitch no hitter while walking seven back in 2009, I believe, and people were upset that he pitched so much, especially your proponents for pitch count and pulling guys, early to keep them from seeing those guys, these analytical nerds, and that's what they are. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Al Leiter was a rookie in 1989, and he threw 163 pitches in his debut. If you're a starting pitcher and you've been training for this, you're training to throw 9 innings. Now, if I'm going out there max effort every single time, I might not be able to make it. I might not have the gas to do that. And I get it. There's some times where, especially the innings counts, they're all worried about innings counts. Like Kerry Wood, I mean, he pitched his rookie season, had quite a bit of mileage on his arm, and next thing you know, I mean, he he has a major arm injury, and he's done. He's done for a while. He never quite was the same. There are some load management things that you can do, but these guys who used to pitch complete games, they're not doing it anymore. They're being pulled. In fact, in 2016, Ross Stripling in his major league debut was throwing a no hitter. He was throwing a no hitter, and guess what? He got pulled. He got pulled because it's 100 pitches. He made it through 7 and a third innings. 7 and a third. Now, to me, when I have a starting pitcher, I want to see guys at least go 7 innings. That's what you're there for. Because otherwise, those innings, those little, 1 and 2 innings or three, because you pulled them after 4 innings, you're not getting anything out of that guy. Why? And you sure as heck better not be paying him a lot of money because it's just absolutely ridiculous. I want guys who want to throw complete games. You just don't see it anymore. It's a dying stat. Just like wins. You don't see pitchers with 20 wins hardly. You see one or two here or there, but you don't get to see that. You don't see it anymore. And why? Well, because you got people who are saying they're throwing too much, or it's all about the analytics, and that's great. But at the same time, it's a waste. I mean, even as far back as 2017, ESPN.com had an article that was titled "The Death of the Complete Game." Why? Because you don't see guys throwing complete games. Pitchers getting pulled early. Why? Oh, they've thrown 90 some odd pitches. Okay. If the guy is dealing, just let him go. Who cares? It makes no sense. In 2017, they were on pace at the time for an all-time low, and this year it's even lower than that. Every year it gets lower and lower and lower. We don't see the same amount of pitches being thrown in the number of in the complete games. It's just not happening. Why? Because all these analytical people, all these people worried about injuring these pitchers are coming out and saying, well, you can't do that. But why aren't we just letting them go? You're paying them the money. They know the risk. They're gamers. They want to go out there and pitch. What's the difference now between what it was then? And it's the fact that these guys are even though they're being trained to throw these complete games, even though they're out there to throw 9 innings, they're throwing max effort all the time. I don't think Greg Max threw max effort ever. Maybe when he needed it. It wasn't a lot because he knew how to pitch. There's a difference between being a guy who's a thrower and a guy who's a pitcher. And the fact of the matter is, we just don't have enough of those guys who can pitch. That's one. So that starts at the bottom. That starts with you with the guys being developed the right way, how they're utilized in minor leagues, how they're being trained, how their bodies are being trained. If they're being trained to throw 9 innings, if they're being trained to be starters, then why aren't we utilizing them as starting pitchers? What's the point? Because now you're going to play what, the splits? If this guy is my ace, this guy's my 2, this guy's my 3, I want to see if I can get at least 7 out of him. But I want 9. I want 9 innings. And there's no reason why I shouldn't want that. The other thing is pitch count. We're so worried. Who really thinks that 100 pitches is the end all be all? I mean, that's just crazy. And I know we have it in the National Federation of High School Sports where pitch count's a big deal. And I get it for younger kids. We're talking about grown men, professional baseball players. They have plenty of people watching about everything that they do to make sure that they stay healthy and they aren't hurt. Okay? If you can see the velocities dropping, that's one thing. But if a guy's getting stronger and he's throwing harder and he's throwing more consistent, he might start out rough. He might start out with, several walks or, throwing a lot of pitches through the first 2 innings. But all of a sudden, guys kind of get in a rhythm. It's kind of like getting loose, especially older players, where, hey, now I can kind of start throwing a little bit. And they might get a little bit more velocity. Why aren't we letting those guys pitch? Why? What's the purpose of this? What's the purpose of this pulling them? Well, we just can't let them get seen. Listen, there is so much information out there analytically for baseball players, for pitchers, and for hitters. There's no deception. It's just, I'm going to make this pitch over this guy. We all know where the holes in the swings are when you're baseball players. I know where that guy, I know his tendencies as a hitter, and I know the pitcher's tendencies as well. Everybody knows everything about everybody now. You can't hide from all the stats that are available. So now you just got to go out there and pitch. Okay, then let him pitch. It makes no sense. He already knows what's coming. The odds are there. Now, I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to say, okay, here's the best stuff. Here's the number 1, the Terminator. We don't got that anymore. We got to look at the calculator. We got to look at all this data. It's information overload. Point of the fact is this. Baseball has killed the stats of wins for pitchers. It has killed the stats of quality starts for pitchers. But it has especially killed the complete game stat. In my opinion, the complete game is the ultimate badge of honor. Now, I get it. Most times now, if you pitch a complete game, it's because the other team is swinging at gnats with a garden hose and they're not hitting anything. And you're just rolling through because it's either quick strikeouts or quick ground outs or whatever, flyouts, whatever. You're not grinding a 150 pitch complete game out. It's just not happening anymore. It makes no sense to me. I want these guys, if I'm going to pay them all this money, I want them to go out there and I want them to be able to pitch. In the playoffs, I need guys who can do that. I need guys who can pitch on a couple days rest and then go. What am I getting these guys ready for in the playoffs by pulling them after 3 innings? Are you kidding me? Or having a guy like Strasburg who is limited on his innings count, and then the Nationals make the playoffs and they shut him down. He didn't even get to pitch in the playoffs. That's how stupid all this is. That's a guy. That's my stud at the time. Why? Oh, because I'm using pitch count or I'm using innings count, and I don't want this guy to be seen too much, or all these other excuses. Listen, baseball is a game where I'm going against you and you're going against me. It's a one-on-one matchup every single time someone steps in the box. And I might know your tendencies and you might know my tendencies, but at the end of the day, it's I'm executing and I'm going to beat you. So all these guys who missed out on no-hitters and all these guys who pitched many a pitch count no-hitters and then complete games, and I feel a lot of respect to those guys who go out there and grind them out. But for Major League Baseball to cheat these guys out of those opportunities to have that kind of a game, that's just a total botch, missed call all the way around. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Missed Calls. Be sure to tune in to the Coach's Box every week. We're having a show. You never know when we do. You know what we're going to talk about. You never know what kind of guests we're going to have. We might not have guests. It might just be 1 or 2 of us. It might be 6 of us. But either way, it's a great show to tune into, so make sure you do that. Appreciate you guys, again, tuning in for another episode of Missed Calls with Coach Miller. See you guys all next week. Good night. God bless.
Are you tired of boring sports talk shows? Then tune in to the Coach's Box. These guys don't just talk sports. They talk about whatever the heck they want to talk about. Watch new episodes of the Coach's Box each week for free on Facebook, YouTube, or the Streamline Sports app.